Welcome back to the Form First podcast. You are joined by your hosts, Sam and Ben, for episode 12. And before we get into this episode, we just want to remind everyone to give us a follow on Spotify and give us a 5-star rating if you can. It helps us out so much to put us on the map so that other people can find this podcast and get loads of information like you guys have as well.
For free.
For free, exactly.
Yeah, while they're at it, do you think they maybe should head over to our Instagram?
Yeah, head over to our Instagram, Form First, give us a follow, follow Sammy Shreds Coaching and Core Remedial as well.
Hell yeah, some good vids on all those pages as well. Some fun times.
Mate, a common thing that I'm seeing at the moment with clients tracking their food, some clients getting to the end of the day and they're getting a little bit unstuck with their calories consumed. So say for an example, their goal is 2,000 calories. They get to the end of the day and they start tracking all their food. And then they go, oh, damn, I'm actually at 2,200. I've spilt over. One super underrated thing that you can do is track your food the day before.
Yeah, right. I've never done that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, how does that help me?
Well,
how's it go?
If you know what you're doing, you know, if you've got a normal day at work, you just track your food as per. So you track your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner and your snacks. Number one, this accounts for all your food that you've consumed. But number two, you've already created yourself a little meal plan for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that way you're not going, oh, what should I have for lunch? And then you're like obsessing over food. You've already written it out. You know what you're going to have. So it takes the guesswork out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like meal prepping for the next day, but in your head in terms of calories. That's something that I do recently every day where I've cut down a little bit and, you know, people's schedules change, things happen. Sunday is your meal prep day. Fucking you have to go to your in-laws Sunday or whatever it might be. That's dropped on you last minute and then you can't meal prep for yourself. So it's always, you know, sometimes I'll get to the end of the day and I'll be like, how many fucking calories have I had again? Like, what did I eat? You know, how many coffees did I have? Whatever it might be. So, and it's always a bit of a gamble where you just sort of, I feel like what I do is I will sort of kill that barrier and push the calories a little bit higher than what it actually might say on the box.
Yeah.
So give myself a bit of a buffer, so to speak, to be like, oh, you know, this apple was 80, my breakfast was 500, let's just say 600.
Yeah. Well, I think when you're flexible dieting or guesstimating your calories, you should always overestimate than underestimate.
Yeah. So I think, on the day it's not a good habit to be in for me, because you always reckon your brain that whole day about your food.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's so draining. And definitely this is something that I might try and give a go, is just plan out. And especially if you've already got your meals set out for you and you've done a little bit of research the day before, if you're in a bit of a rush for lunch or whatever it might be, then just giving an estimate and just overestimating what it might be would be a huge help.
Yeah, for sure. It can work if you know you've got an event coming up as well. So, you know, if you're going out for dinner the next day with the family and, you know, I'd recommend, if you know where you're going, have a look on the menu and, you know, pick something before you go so that you're not getting to the restaurant super hungry and then going, oh, I'll just get the palmy, you know.
Just get the palmy and the garlic bread and absolutely.
The beers and all sorts. So if you pick something, you know, pick a smart choice when maybe you're not completely ravenous, and then that way you lock it in and you can actually track that meal to the best of your ability in your tracking app or MyFitnessPal, and then you reverse engineer the rest of your day around that.
Yeah, exactly. And if something like that, you know, a lot of what we've spoken about before is calorie banking for a couple of days before an event, if you have the ability to do so. You know, sometimes events stack up and all that type of stuff and you have to make the adjustments on the day. Don't, you know, if you're someone that regularly has breakfast, probably don't skip breakfast, because that's what your brain will just be like, all right, I'm fucking starving. Like, when the hell is this dinner? I'm getting 3 appetizers and I'm not sharing them.
Yeah.
I'm just going for it. So just still have something to eat at breakfast, whether that's a piece of fruit, just to satisfy the mouth,
Yep.
I guess, and satisfy the brain and your stomach, and just to know that something's in there and distract yourself. Picking up your water intake can be a handy one as well.
Yeah, and that's where calorie banking works so well, because you're taking a small amount of calories away per day for 5 consecutive days. 100 calories per day is nothing, really.
Yeah, you can
but
take cheese out.
Yeah, but if you take away 500 calories in a single day, that's going to hurt.
Yeah, yeah. And you're just going to be, I mean, I've done this. I am no stranger to being a bottomless pit at a pub, not only just the food, but I love a beer. So, and it's always, it's just the environment that you're in and who you're going with, and, what the occasion is for. Like tonight, for instance, I have a concert and I don't really know what the vibe is with what we're doing for food. So I had an apple for breakfast and then I've had a sandwich. For now, I feel fine. That's tying me over for the moment. I've just still trying to get in easy calories that will just satiate me long enough until we get to dinner. So it's an earlier dinner tonight.
Yep.
So then, it just gets to a certain point where it's about discipline.
Yeah. And I saw you had a protein shake before.
And a protein shake.
Yep.
So just trying to keep the protein up, even on the day I'm not training. Almost more important to keep it up on those days as well, because I trained my legs yesterday and they're feeling pretty crazy. So yeah, it was a nice hard session there, and just trying to keep all the nutrition up, keep my body happy and full. So I probably won't eat until we have dinner, and then once we're at the concert, that should be easy enough for me to keep myself going.
Yeah, it's great. And obviously because, you'll miss out on like a protein feeding meal, so you want to keep your protein up
High
during the day, and then for that dinner meal, try and, aim for a high protein food as well.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And if I, cutting carbs and fats out is something I don't want to do long term. It's something that I can do on the day, because right now for me, protein is probably the most important thing, plus the fiber and stuff like that. So yeah, if I was to get in an apple and maybe 1 or 2 yogurts in the morning, very low calorie, high in protein, will tie you over. Just managing it on the day.
Yeah. You mentioned before that it's just as important, if not more important, to have protein on rest days as well. I think a misconception that a lot of people think is like, I only have to have my protein powder on my training days.
Yeah.
And it's like, remember that you have protein powder to meet your protein goals, right?
Yeah.
Protein powder is not essential.
Yeah.
It can be a good, convenient way to hit your protein goals, though. So, say for an example, if someone trained and they're hitting 150 grams of protein per day, they have a rest day, they don't have their protein shake, and it bumps them down to 125 grams.
Yeah.
Yeah, 125 grams of protein per day. That day after, the days after, is when your body's actually building the muscle, right?
Yeah.
When it's repairing.
Yeah.
So, that's when you have the delayed onset muscle soreness. That is the most important time that you should be hitting your protein intake.
Yeah, and just all your other foods at that rate, like absolutely. Like recovery day is recovery day, not just not going to the gym. Recovery day is feeding yourself properly. Like use all the calorie allowance you can on your recovery day. Just because you're not working out doesn't mean you're not burning calories. I think that's a tough one as well, where we'll repeat it a lot, but going to the gym, that's not for, you'll burn a couple of extra calories, sure, but that's not, you're going to be hungrier as well. So you're still going to be hungry after you go to the gym. You're probably going to consume those calories later anyway. I mean, I do. But recovery day, for me, every Sunday and Saturday, Monday are my recovery days. But Sunday, we'll go to the markets and stuff like that. I get a cinnamon scroll pretty much every Sunday. It's like my favorite thing ever. But on that Saturday and Monday, I'm really trying to feed myself as well as possible whole foods, nutritious foods. A lot of the time I can sometimes make my protein work without a shake. But, if you're in a cut and you're trying to keep it pretty high, odds are you're going to be having one. So definitely don't underestimate, feeding yourself on those days off, because you'll be ready to go. Feed yourself, sleep, you'll be ready to go for your next workout.
I've noticed a bit of a pattern with new clients, and this isn't calling out any of my clients who are listening to this, but you might have done this yourself, Ben. I'm guilty of doing it early days, and I think a lot of people go through it as well, is where their weight spikes up initially or it drops down a lot. And I usually say, hey, was your weight fasted or non-fasted? Did you weigh yourself at the gym or at home? Did you have clothes on, clothes off? If you weigh yourself in a fasted state, you get up in the morning, go to the bathroom, jump on the scales in your undies, and then you put on your shoes, put on your clothes, you sip on a sip on a pre-workout, and you go to the gym, jump on the scales in your hoodie, in your shoes, just drank 500 liters water.
Like, holy shit, I just gained 5 kilos.
You've gone up. Like, realistically, that's probably like at least 1.5 kilos, 2 kilos. So, if you are listening to this, like, just weigh yourself at home. You can pick up scales for at least $15 from Kmart these days. It's super cheap. The scales at the gym, they're going to fluctuate, not because of the gym scales, but because of the state that you're weighing yourself in.
Yeah, big time. And like you were saying before, get up, go to the bathroom, don't shower. Even showers, I feel like, with a bit of water and stuff on your body.
Yeah, got long hair, wet your hair.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Adds heaps of weight. It just eliminates as many outliers as it possibly can in the morning when if you eat late, whatever, but it just eliminates a lot of those outliers. Do it in your undies every morning or whenever you need to weigh yourself, going to the bathroom, 1 or 2, whatever you can do at the time. It just eliminates a lot of the grey areas. And it's just the same. Another one for me, a peace of mind, is just the same scales.
Yeah.
Even though all scales will measure basically the same way, it's just a nice peace of mind thing for me when I go and jump on the scales. My scales recently have been fluctuating like crazy. And that's such a head wrecker as well. So just as much as you can, keeping that, fasted weight, even fasted, if people are doing progress photos, that can be another good limiter for them. Because if you try and do photos or weighing yourself even after working out, you're quite inflamed. And
yeah. On the scales side of things, like, even one can be, if you see your scales fluctuating a lot, you could just need to change the batteries in them. Change the batteries. They're a lot more consistent. Another one is just making sure that you're putting your scales in the same position as well.
Yes, bro.
If you put them on your tiles, and then you put them on your floorboards, then you put them on your carpet, even having it on off-centered. So, you've got 3 points of the scales in contact and one's hanging off a tile, in midair, like, that's going to throw off the weight as well.
Yeah.
So just making sure that, it is nice and even.
Boom, you've set a record, 25 kilos off.
Yeah. Like, all these things, they sound super nitty gritty but they do add up at the end of the day. Like, consistency is key with all of this stuff with training
with
and nutrition.
Everything. Yeah, it's such a great point. I think, like, the scales for everyone, guys, is so difficult to navigate. Like, I'm still navigating scales, and by no means am I advanced. By no means have I been doing this even close to a decade. But I've been doing it long enough now to where I understand how this can work. And like, different surfaces. Like, I go from tiles to wooden vinyl floorboards, and I've gained 1.5 kilos. So what I now use the scales for, which is a really difficult hurdle to overcome, is just a trend. All I'm looking for is a trend at the end of the day. Sure, I want to hit a certain weight just to tickle my brain. I'd love to, go to 90 and just see 90, or I'd love to see the 80s. That's awesome. That might not be my true weight. I just want to see a trend where I go down. Maybe one day I don't do a number 2, I go up a little bit. And then we go down, up, down, just like a stock. Let's say your weight's a stock. There's no real true value there, whatever, but we just want to see a trend. And if you're trying to gain weight, it's the same thing. It depends on the types of foods you're eating, when you ate. There's so many variables to it. So what we're saying is use it as a guide. Photos and physique and how you feel are going to be the best measures for progress.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. And not stressing about the daily fluctuations that you have on the scales. I get clients to weigh in on typically a Monday and a Friday. And then I'll get those clients to add those two inputs together, divide them by 2, and then that creates a weekly average.
Yeah, done. Now, I don't know if you did this on purpose, but I think this could be a little bit cheeky from you doing a Monday and a Friday, because it really exposes people's weekends.
Yeah, well,
so it was on purpose.
It was, yeah, 100%. Everyone's really consistent, typically Monday to Friday. If you work a Monday to Friday job, typically people are in routine and their training schedule and their eating habits are in check because they go to work, they have lunch at a certain time, dinner at a certain time, etc. The weekends is when everyone falls off the wagon. So Friday, the Friday weigh-in is so that you can weigh in after a really good week of training nutrition. That's typically what most people's lowest weigh-in is. And then, but what it also does is it sort of goes, okay, I got a low weigh-in. I'm going to be really good over the weekend so that I can get another low weigh-in on Monday.
Yeah.
And then if they mess up, so they, not adherent over the weekend, come Monday, their scale weight goes up significantly. They go, well, that was because of the weekend.
Yeah.
If they only weigh in on a Friday and then they go, oh, well, was it the weekend or was it something I did during the week?
Yeah.
What was it?
So one thing that I have been aware of recently is when I see out a craving, which I maybe shouldn't, so eat too much or eat, something that's pretty far off meal plan, what it does, you wake up the next day or whatever, you might weigh out heavier or you might just feel not so good about what you did the day before. I feel like for me, when I do something like that, it sort of resets me and it humbles me and it brings me back down to earth. All right, I've seen out that craving. Now I'm going to lock in even more. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So is that something that you've maybe experienced or clients have come to you with that type of thing? Is that an unhealthy thing in your eyes?
I think it's a pretty unhealthy mentality to be in.
Yeah.
Because then you almost self-sabotage yourself. Like once you start to get momentum, you start to see progress, and then you go, all right, I'm ahead of the game right now. My weight's trending down. Everything's good. I'm going to go out and, eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
In order to make more progress because that will drive you more.
Yeah. So I don't do it consciously.
Yeah.
It's not something
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you could fall into a pattern.
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You having your Sunday cinnamon scroll, for an example, that could turn into, and then I'll grab a bacon egg roll, and then I'll go out and have a palmy for lunch.
And then Sunday's just a complete write-off.
And then it turns into a cheat day, and then, Monday comes around, you feel like shit, you jump on the scales are going up, and then you go, right, time to lock in again.
Yeah.
What happens again? Sunday rolls around, the same thing happens.
Yeah.
So you sort of end up in that sort of never-ending loop. Look, I think when people mess up, like we're all human. Like no one's 100%. We're not like a robot. No one can be 110% compliant to the plan. Like there's going to be some variances in there. I think when we do mess up, it's important to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But it's also important not to like beat yourself
Smash
up
yourself
and be
about
like,
it.
right, that's it. I'm going on the Stairmaster for 60 minutes, every day for the next foreseeable future. Like, I don't think it's a very healthy mentality to be in, but I think, obviously using it as fuel to get back on track is normal.
Yeah, and I feel like for me, I feel particularly safe in that mindset. It's not something that I would preach to people. It's just something that I have become aware of through reflection, where I've been
Yep.
like, because I've dealt with, you know, my own battles mentally with, you know, negative self-talk and stuff after I've had a fucking pizza or something like that.
Yep.
And they wake up at the time you're loving life. The next day you're like, I'm a fatty.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
What I would suggest if, you know, in this scenario, if a client came to me with this sort of mindset, I would say, look, you can have this food and not feel guilt
Plan
around
for
it. You know, plan the cinnamon scroll the day before,
Which I do.
plan the pizza the day before, and make sure the rest of the day is on track. And if your calories are on track there, there's no real difference.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're still having those sweet treats. You're getting those cravings out of the way.
Yep.
And there's literally no difference because you're still hitting your calories.
Yeah.
I think the guilt comes from having it where you go over and above, and then you do spill over your calories and your weight fluctuates.
Yeah.
That's when the mindset goes, oh, shit.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the time as well, I'd say something that a lot of clients wouldn't be so aware of right at the start is that if you do spill over, if you're in a calorie deficit, you're typically in between a 5 to 20% deficit, let's say.
More,
a bit more.
30.
Yeah,
Some
give
people,
or take.
yep.
If you were in a 20-25% calorie deficit and you spilled over 150 calories, 200 calories, we're still in a deficit.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So now, again, not to be used as an excuse, because then your body will adapt if you continuously are like, I'm 200 calories over my deficit, but I'm still in a deficit, so now our deficit's higher up. Not an excuse, but it is an important thing to note that if you are feeling like shit that you went over 100 or 200 calories, that is where now we reset, adjust, and go back to the next week just as normal, and you just get back into your normal routine and things like that. Now, I just want to preface that I plan for my Sundays on the day. I don't calorie bank every single week just for my Sunday, because Sunday might not be my cinnamon scroll day.
Yeah.
It might just be a normal day for me. So there's no point of just calorie banking every single week if you've got a particular day that you're aiming to have a treat. I typically will adjust my day.
Yep. Something that we have been trialing with your training as of late is reducing the working sets down. Yeah. How have you been going with that?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
It was leg day.
Yep. I program for Ben, and typically we do 3 working sets. We have for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Ben's getting on with his training, and he's lifting very heavy on certain exercises. And he brought to my attention that he's starting to, get quite fatigued on some of the exercises, maybe dreading some of the exercises. So I said, well, why don't we look at reducing the amount of working sets that you're doing on your bigger compound lifts? Moving from 3 down to 2 working sets, and see how you go. And your response was, is that enough?
Yeah.
As everyone sort of does.
Yeah.
I've been training 2 working sets for majority of my exercises for the past 3 years now. And I was a bit skeptical at the time as well. I came from an era where doing 4 to 5 working sets per exercise was pretty normal. And I'm talking back, 2014 sort of time to sort
in the
of
gym forever.
Yeah, 2014 to sort of 2018, 19 sort of time. So pretty normal. Like sessions used to take anywhere from probably 2 to 3 hours to complete.
Far out.
We used to follow these workouts from Team Massive Joe's, and he had this extended hypertrophy rep range, and it was 5 working sets per exercise, and it would start out like heavy weight, low reps, and then it would gradually go
lower
up.
weight, higher rep.
Yeah, correct. Over time. And like, did I make gains from that? Yeah, absolutely. Like it worked great. Was that the most optimal way to train? No, but I had fun doing it.
Yeah.
But as I've matured and gotten older, and the bodies can't really handle that amount of
Yeah.
volume anymore,
Yeah.
I decided to drop my sets down to the 3 working sets,
Yep.
sort of when I was in my bodybuilding prep days.
Yep.
And then what I used to do in bodybuilding prep, I would have a taper week where I would do 2 working sets. So I'd have a deload, let the body rest, and then have a taper, 2
Yep.
working sets. What I found on the taper week was I was hitting PBs left, right, and center because the mindset changed. I only need to do 2 working sets for this exercise. I'm going to give it my absolute
Amen,
all.
brother. Yep. Yep. That's exactly how I feel now.
Yeah.
And the only thing that we have now reduced to 2 working sets is the RDLs, because I wouldn't call it a superset, but I alternate between hack and RDL, hack squat and RDL, which you can do with not as much rest in between because you're aiming for slightly different muscles through there. So, I was doing 3 sets of a hack squat at 150 kilograms or whatever it might be, and then 3 sets of RDLs at about 100 kilograms. And I was just cooking myself. I just absolutely dreaded it. And it almost got to the point where I was just like, nah, not doing legs today, because that middle of that workout was just like hell to me. It was like the steepest hill ever. So it's made a big difference to my training cycle. And yeah, now I don't dread it as much. And I kind of enjoyed legs yesterday. So thanks, mate.
So since you've transitioned to 2 working sets on your RDLs, what's the biggest difference that you've seen, and has there been a significant strength increase since that?
Yeah, I like genuinely, yes. 100 kilos, I remember when I first started doing RDLs, especially 3 sets, I was like, I need a weight belt, because it's just gassing me out. And I'm all for accessories and things like that with that type of stuff, but I'm also much prefer not having to wear anything. I just don't like feeling much on me. I don't like distractions or anything like that. So it was, my recovery is so much better day to day, between leg day and leg day, week to week, just because we're just not smashing it as much. And I'm doing quite heavy on the hamstring curls as well now. We're up to almost 80 kilos on that, and that's come such a long way. And that's, those are tough. Hamstring curls are really tough. So I feel like I am, I see it as 2 sets, and I'm like, right, let's go for it. I'm about to pick up the weights on RDL now as well. I think I'm ready to go up, and yeah, and I wouldn't be if I was doing 3 sets. I'd probably still be below 100 kilos. Yep. So I think that I can lift heavy, and by the end of the second set, that last 3 reps or so is heavy enough for me. You know what I mean? It's really, really tough, and especially when I'm combining that with the hack squats that are, quad focused.
Yeah.
And a little bit more isolated.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and it's been a hard thing to grasp for a lot of people, because what all the studies showed in the early 2000s for muscle hypertrophy was that doing more volume was the main driver for hypertrophy. But what the studies didn't account for was they just recorded the muscle swelling effects. So do more volume, you do 5 sets of bicep curls versus 2 sets of bicep curls, the muscles are going to swell up more in 5 sets. No doubt about that. You do a girth measurement, the biceps are bigger. Therefore, more volume is better. But there comes a point where it's like it's not efficient. Like you can't keep training like that forever.
No.
Especially as you age, like you're not going to be able to recover from all of that volume as well. So over the years, the research has showed, there are many other aspects that contribute to hypertrophy that are more important, like training at a close proximity to failure.
Yeah.
Huge one.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But it's great that you've experienced that, and I think that it's something that we'll transition further into.
Yep.
But you can't
Lovely.
jump straight into 2 sets
No.
or 1 or 2 working sets straight away. You have to earn the right to it.
Yep.
Like I feel like if you've got a newbie in the gym, they've never lifted weights before, and you get them lifting 1 to 2 working sets at an RPE 9.5, they're gonna
That's
snap.
heavy weight as well.
You know,
yeah.
You're better off reducing the RPE down to 7 to 8, and then spreading that over 3 sets because it's safer.
Yep.
But once they've been training for a few years and they've got a decent amount of muscle in their frame and they can train with intensity with good form, then sure, drop them down to 2 sets and increase the intensity. Because if you're doing 2 sets, you have to make sure that you're training with absolute intensity for those 2 sets.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You need to be burning it out. And, it's a real, like, for instance, every time I'm doing those 2 exercises, I'm out of breath. Like, it's not just the intensity in terms of the weight, but it's just about, if they've got their breathing down and they're loaded up properly through their core and things like that. So, like you said, with high intensity and with good form, and if you're gasping for air afterwards, you've probably done the maximum amount that your body's allowed to do. And it's such a great point about timing with getting people to do the lower amount of sets, because no one's going to start out with as much intensity as they can actually do. Yep. I've got a client at the moment who said again today, he says it almost every training session, where he's like, he came in today and he was like, we're doing lat pull downs with the mag grip, and he was like, before I was doing maybe, I felt comfortable to do maybe 48 kilos on my own. He was smashing out like 60s today for 10 reps.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And he's like, I just wouldn't have known. So people are a lot stronger than they know, but it takes time for them to believe that, to see that, and for them to go out and train on their own with intensity as well, not just with a trainer.
Yep.
And do that safely.
Yep.
So please be aware of that too.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to Jeff Nippard. Not sure if you've watched the video, but he did I think it was 90 days, I'm pretty sure, where he trained for 2 sets, 1 to 2 working sets. And then he also trained for 5 working sets. And the good thing is at the end, he did a DEXA scan and photos. And Jeff's like a very mature bodybuilder that's been training for a long time. So when we're actually looking at, muscle hypertrophy, like it should be done on bodybuilders, really. Like if you're getting untrained individuals, like it's not going to be the best data in the world.
Yeah.
For hypertrophy, because you give anyone any exercise, they're going to grow muscle.
It's going to explode. Yeah.
So, and Jeff obviously has a lot in his control with his nutrition, lifestyle, that sort of thing. So the studies are really good. Anyway, he was in a deficit.
Yep.
And over that course, he did the DEXA scan and he increased, I think it was like 1.6 pounds of muscle or something like that over that period. And he was in a deficit. So you go like, damn.
Really
sick.
Like stimulating the muscles, yeah.
His take on it was he's still going to train high volume when he's in a building phase. He still enjoys that type of training. His lifestyle can account for it. So he's probably going to do 3, 4, 5 working sets when he's in a build. But he said when he's in a cut, he's going to do 1 to 2 working sets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what we do...
That's smart.
Yeah. What we do to build muscle, the amount of load, we don't actually need as much load to maintain our muscle.
Yep.
And when we're in a deficit, what are we doing? We're trying to maintain our muscle. We're not actually trying to build muscle in a deficit.
Yeah. We're trying to lose a bit of body fat.
Just trying to lose body fat.
Yeah. Slim down. Wow. That's such a good point about volume and stuff like that. And when you're in the build phase, that's when you're really wanting to, and not to say that 1 to 2 working sets, you're still fucking pushing it, just in the gym for a little bit less time.
Yeah. Definitely.
Probably not burning as many calories with the lower reps as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great point. I can't wait for us to reverse out. I'm very keen.
Yeah, for sure.
Very keen for that.
Yeah, so I think I'll transition you over, and you can trial the 2 working sets on other exercises as well, because and this is what you can do too, guys, is you don't have to do it on every single exercise. What I'd recommend, if there is an exercise that you are maybe dreading but you know that it's a good exercise, such as RDLs for you, drop it down to 2 sets and see how you go.
Yeah.
All of a sudden your motivations increase, you're progressing on that movement again. Happy days.
I was actually yesterday notably keen for the leg session. Like, I really enjoy, I dread legs like the rest of us, but it's probably the workout I enjoy the most, knowing I've done it, because it's just, sexy legs are underrated. So you just, and strong legs are really important as well.
Yep, absolutely. Mate, you take creatine, yeah?
Yeah, you've noticed?
Yes.
My hair's coming out.
How many grams do you take per day?
5 to 10.
5 to 10.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you just fluctuate on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, sometimes it's a heap scoop, sometimes it's level. Let's call it 5.
Of call it 5. Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
gone.
I take 10 just from the new research coming out recently with the cognitive benefits of creatine, and also it helps with sleep deprivation. And I've got a toddler, so may as well
Shout out.
give it a whirl.
Shout out Sam's toddler.
A big misconception about creatine over the years has been the hair loss. And I get it. I still get it now. People are like, I don't want to take creatine because I'm going to lose my hair. I've been taking creatine for over 10 years with minimal time off, and my hair is as thick as it's ever been.
Yeah, maybe, hear me out on this one, maybe there are other lifestyle factors that are losing their hair. Yeah?
Potentially.
Yeah.
So where this came about, there was a study in 2009 based on rugby players, and it was a very small trial. And the misconception is that creatine increases DHT, which is a hormone affected to hair loss.
Right.
So they went, oh, well, if you take creatine, there's an increase in DHT, you're going to lose your hair. But what that doesn't account for is if you go out and weight train, your DHT is going to fluctuate just from weight training, not taking creatine, just weight training. Yeah. So, like, where does this come from?
Yeah.
Was it the weight training that they were going off with the fluctuations, or was it actually the supplementation? Were these rugby players secretly on TRT potentially?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
So that has been there was a study actually done this year that debunked that creatine does not affect DHT, therefore it does not affect hair loss.
Yeah. And that's like, before this podcast I was thinking about studies. That can be the tricky thing with studies, is like there'll almost never be enough study for one particular thing. And there can be such a broad question and such a small test population, and it's the same thing with like recovery, physiotherapy, injuries, and all that type of stuff. You can test and test and test and test. You just need to keep it, quite specific as much as you can. And comparing study to study is such a good way to do it. So having a study that was done previously and where that's created a bad reputation, and then going back on that study, following on from what they've done and debunking it, that makes it a little bit more believable, I guess, for people as well, so that they've considered another approach that's been taken, 15 years before, and be like, all right, things are changing.
For sure. And don't just read the heading, actually just read the study.
Yeah,
that's
read the study. If you really care, read the study. Yeah, good luck.
For sure.
Yeah.
Another side effect that people are concerned about with creatine is the stomach discomfort. So like gas and bloating. Now, typically a dose of creatine, 5 grams is a clinical dose. I take a little bit more. I'm fine. Where this has come from is, for creatine to have full effect, it needs to be taken for a period of 2 weeks for
Mhm.
your creatine stores to be saturated.
Mm.
Therefore, you'll get the benefits then.
Mhm.
A lot of people are impatient and they want to load creatine. So you can do a loading phase. And what that is you take 20 to 30 grams per day for a week and then it's in your system. But you're not going to get any extra benefits from loading aside from being in your system quicker.
Yeah.
What that does for a lot of people, it causes havoc on their stomach
In your gut. Yeah.
because what you need to do is you need to drink a lot of water
yeah. To accommodate.
to accommodate.
The
And
creatine.
people don't.
Yeah.
They don't drink any more water. They just drink their normal amount. And that's where the stomach upset comes from.
Yeah. Loading, do it if you want. Don't do it if you want. I think when you try to load creatine, you're drinking 45 liters of water per day. You're gonna have a lot of fucking toilet breaks. You know, that's just gonna be super annoying. So if you can just, and you're not gonna be, you'll be smashing this creatine for ages, and a lot of people might fall off the wagon after that. They'll think that 5 isn't enough. Think that the clinical dose is just not enough, so they'll just keep smashing 15 to 20 grams of creatine, feeling, potentially dehydrated, and having shitty stomach issues. Everything we consume through our mouth goes through our liver, so your liver might not be able to keep up with that amount for a long amount of time either. So there's a lot of implications that come with loading creatine as well.
Yeah.
You need to be really careful of.
Yeah, and I think we should always be taking a minimum effective dose for supplementation.
Yep.
If we need it at all.
Yep.
In that case, like, if you are going to take creatine, 5 grams, great place to start. If you want to start experimenting, maybe go to 10 grams.
See if
If
there's
you
a difference.
see if there's any difference. It's hard because creatine works on chronic use rather than acute use. So you're not going to see a response straight away.
Yep.
That's why you need to take it for at least 2 weeks, and then you'll be able to feel the difference between it. But it's not like a pre-workout. It's not like taking pre-workout or an energy drink and you're like, oh, I feel the difference. I feel the tingliness. I feel more energized. Creatine's like a little subtle effect.
Yeah, and you'll see it a lot on those creatine boxes where it's like consume 15 minutes before a workout. And if you don't, I get why they put that on there, but that again sets a bad precedent where you're like, oh, if you miss that window, I'm not going to have creatine today.
Yeah. I had this conversation with a client the other day, actually. They said, oh, so should I be taking creatine pre-workout? Because that's what my tub said, like you mentioned. And I said, I recommend you don't, because what happens on the days that you don't train? You forget to take it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I recommend is when you get up in the morning, you have a glass of water before you do anything, before you have a coffee, before you have breakfast. I do this as well. 500 mils, ice cold water, put some sugar-free cordial in, and then put my creatine in there, mix it up, have my vitamin D, my fish oils, all my other pills, bang, done, before I do anything else. And then I can make my coffee and get on with my day.
Yeah, and if you're an overnight oats, overnight wheat bix person, or you prep your breakfast and it's suitable to do so, I put my creatine in my food.
Yeah, great.
Gonski. Like, you don't even know it's fucking there. You know what I mean? And like, you're not going to inject liquid creatine into your chicken breast. But like, you know what I mean? Like, and if you miss it one day, that doesn't mean that. I've seen shit on TikTok and on the internet where they're like, don't miss your creatine for one day, guys, or you're fucked. You know, like you got to restart load phase again, 40 grams of creatine a day for 2 weeks. So it's just like you miss a day. It's like anything. You miss a day, you get back on track. You feel it into your routine.
Yeah.
But my creatine, like I don't know, I could be wrong here, but studies supposedly show that it's absorbed best with carbohydrates or, something like that. But yeah, I'll chuck it in my oats, whatever it might be, or if I'm having all savory all day and it's, I'm not going to sprinkle it over my steak, that type of thing, I will have it in my protein shake.
Yep.
Something like that. And just see you later.
Thanks for tuning in for what was episode 12 of the Form First podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, don't forget to rate the show and give us a follow. And we hope to see you on the next episode.
Ciao.
Peace.